Well, that's shot with an underwater housing, quite obviously, if I'm underwater. But that is something that we get to see as surfers. Quite often when a wave passes and you dive down underneath, that's a wave rolling towards the beach. But underneath it creates basically a horizontal tornado. Um, and I basically just decided I wanted to, you know, take on the challenge of trying to capture that look or what I was seeing, which is always extremely difficult when you take photography in itself is always a challenge to capture something amazing, but then you take it underwater, that's a whole different world. So, but usually when I see something and I know it's amazing and beautiful, would make an amazing image, then I get a little obsessed on um, how to capture it, but then you can be as prepared as you want, have the water housing, have the cameras, and then it's just all about the luck of a clear day, the right tides, waves rolling in. And so this particular day I got lucky and I we took our boat around to a beach that you can only access by boat. It's right as you're landing actually on the island of Kauai. The planes will, on their final approach, will pass by this beach, and that's usually captures the imagination of everybody on the plane as they get to look over and see it's the beach is named Kipukai. It's right below Black Mountain, and it's this amazingly beautiful sand beach with these aqua um, water. I believe, I don't know if it was rumor or not, but I believe that parts of Blue Lagoon were shot in this bay, which would
Wow.
make perfect sense. It's just amazing water, and you can see the lip coming over and the beach in the background there. And if you know the area, you can make out Black Mountain up on the top, which is really special for local people here to
Mm-hmm.
basically get an image from a beach that they very rarely get to see.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I was wondering if that white line in the very middle was the beach.
It is, yeah,
So that wave is going past you towards the beach. It just
yeah,
went over
yeah,
you. Oh,
yeah.
wow. That's
Wow.
such a
And you can, sorry.
that's so special. That's one of the things I love about your photographs is it's things that n- and many people
I
will
would
never
never see
see
this.
in
No.
real
Oh, you've
life.
you've seen it, Stephanie,
Well,
but
I'm usually
you,
tumbling in the wave when
yeah, but on this one, I the the barrel itself, the tornado is perfectly parallel to the beach.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you can see through there. You can actually see the lip of the wave coming through it, and all that kind of softness up on the top is actually the spray drops hitting the. So you can see if you look in there that the lip of the wave is actually coming over. And then
Mm-hmm.
if you go up a little bit higher, those are all the sprays, like what you saw in Stephanie's wave. The spray coming over the back is now hitting the top of the flat water.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
wow.
and then if you go down, this is one of my favorite parts of this thing. So if you go all the way down to the foreground in front,
Oh,
how clear
okay.
that is. So yeah, it looks like trees. Um,
Yeah.
but in the foreground, you see how clear the bottom is.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
as you move,
Full layers when you look
yeah,
close.
Wow.
That's why I
yeah,
love seeing your work big. It's just you
yeah.
really see
Mm-hmm.
that detail and
And these on
droplets.
metal are insane. We have this
Oh,
one
yeah.
60 inches in the gallery on metal, and it's,
Yeah.
metal in itself tends
Look
to,
at that middle part. Oh, look
yeah,
I
at that
love
on the
this.
edges.
yeah,
That wraparound of that
That's
white water in there. That is
insane.
yeah, yeah.
beautiful.
So when I'm
Just stunning.
editing, I'm pulling those pictures and I'm looking at all these little details. There might be one that's super similar to this, but it's these
Mm-hmm.
little things. Once you start going deeper and start, finding one that's got
Yeah, look at
10
the water
insanely
droplets
interesting.
What
Yeah,
there.
the water
is
Those are
that?
droplets are insane.
How
beautiful.
is there
Yeah,
water droplets on
because
all that?
that's the flat water up top, and the wave broke and sprayed.
Sprayed on itself.
Yeah,
Wow.
and so then the water
What?
droplets are hitting that.
That's
Amazing.
And
insane. Oh my
again,
gosh.
it's difficult to see on the screen, but when you come into the galleries and see it on a 60-inch piece of metal, it's amazing. You can just
Oh,
stand there. And I see people do that. They'll pass it, look at it, and then they're start
yeah. Then you're just
finger
drawn
start
in by
pointing it
the
Yeah.
all out.
detail.
Yeah.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you also, I would love to hear, just tell me, because I love the name Journey's End. So tell us a
Yeah.
little bit about that,
Mhm.
how you came up with
So
that.
so I'm really bad at naming images.
But I like this name.
Yeah,
I
so
do
this name,
too.
yeah. So I usually just struggle, like if it had, I would be looking at this, I'm like emerald wave rolling onto a sandy beach,
Yeah, you'd be like
something.
green water
Yeah.
and sandy wave.
But to be honest with you,
Yeah.
there's a few images like Foamy Flute, Journey's End, that are such spectacular captures, and they're so moving that it motivates me to go after basically a deeper name, to spend
Yeah.
the time and really think it out. And where I ended up on this is I basically recognizing that this wave came from somewhere, and so
Mm.
I studied, and I already know, being a surfer, what our swell window is. So when a storm somewhere, a storm in California really has no bearing on waves on the south side of Kauai. Um, they would have more a swell from California. A storm there would create swells that would travel across the ocean and put on the beaches on the east side, or mostly on the east side. So our swell window, which it's called, when we get waves on the south side, means it was a storm that was basically came up from the Indian Ocean and traveled through the strait between Tasmania and Australia, and then took that heading. So it's running up what would be the east side, I believe, of the eastern shores of Australia, and is coming up that direction, which is heading directly at Kauai, or
Mhm.
at Hawaii, the Hawaiian Islands. And then that swell, obviously, the bigger the storm, the bigger the swell, which it's going to need to travel. It's like 6,800 miles or something, but that's where our waves come from. And so when I started to process that and think about where this wave came from, it started to click that, this is the end of the journey for this wave. It traveled 6,800 miles in open ocean, and its final destination ended up on this beach, and I was there to see it. And that is about as deep as I can go. That's pretty
That's
deep.
pretty
Like,
deep. I love
yeah,
that.
but it's
I'm
amazing.
impressed.
It gives me chills thinking about it. But
Yeah.
but
I
but
love it.
again, yeah. But again, I wish that every image I shot motivated me to search out the most, the deepest of
Yeah.
thoughtfulness. And but it doesn't always do that. We'll even put images up on Facebook for far more creative than me, or us to name, and that's always fun to interact and let people be a
Oh,
part of it. But
yeah.
this is one of those images that I wanted it, and I wanted to name it. I wanted to understand it. I wanted to go deeper than just a wave simply rolling up on a beach, because it was just so good.
Yeah.
I love
Wow.
it. So
So
fascinating. I love,
impressed.
yeah, when I heard that name, I was really intrigued, and I
Yep,
love that story. Thank you.
Wow.
yep, yep.
Hey.
You're welcome. Thank you for liking it.
Fantastic.